Hello there and welcome to the Eurogamer Newscast. It's the morning after the night before of the Game Awards and someone's been arrested, Elden Ring won Game of the Year, and we've seen some Death Stranding too. It was a busy night, not just for us, for Christopher Judge as well, who eventually left stage. Here with me to talk about everything that we saw, heard, and stayed awake for last night. It's the Eurogamer News team and a very special guest as well. We've got Ed Nightingale.
Hello.
Victoria Kennedy.
Hello.
And Wesley Yin-Poole.
Hello.
Lovely to have you all here. And we have survived the Game Awards 2022, which is always a very long, hard slog and kind of like the games industry's last big burp of announcements and press releases of the year before it settles down and hibernates and goes to sleep. And I think we're all looking forward to doing that ourselves. But before that, let's just talk about what we saw, because there was a lot. And, you know, Geoff Keighley said that it was going to be a shorter show. He lied. Thanks, Geoff Keighley.
No, he didn't. It was 10 minutes shorter than last year.
And maybe it would have been half an hour shorter if it wasn't for Christopher Judge. Yeah. But there was plenty of good stuff there last night. So let's talk about some of that. You can read a recap of everything that was at the show on Eurogamer right now in our very handy Everything Announced at the Game Awards 2022 article, which will be linked from this blog post. So do give that a look if you want to rewatch all of the trailers. There was the usual half-hour pre-show. We saw Dead Cells DLC with Castlevania, Vampire Survivors on mobile, Valiant Hearts on mobile, a nice sequel. And then we're into the sort of
PC at long last.
Yeah, like confirmation of Returnal PC. Was anyone surprised by that?
Nope.
No, but it was nice to have.
I like this Castlevania crossover is sort of like as close as we're going to get to a new Castlevania game.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice.
It's like when they put the F-Zero kart in Mario Kart. F-Zero track in Mario Kart. It's like, you're never going to get another one of these ever again, but, you know, it's just about relevant enough still to do a crossover.
Be grateful for what you get.
Do you play Dead Cells?
No, or Castlevania. I just know that Castlevania fans really want a new one.
Sticking up for the Castlevania fans, all two of them.
Dead Cells is great.
Ed's one of them.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that DLC.
The first brand new game announced I think stood out for a lot of people was Hellboy, which looked pretty cool. It's like this comic book style thing. Lance Reddick is in it. I mean, he's in everything.
Yeah, I quite like the look at that. I like the sort of comic book style.
I think that Lance Reddick's voice as well is really well suited to Hellboy.
Definitely, yeah.
Whereas you know him best, I think the same as me, as Commander Zavala from Destiny.
Yeah, the Fallen are indeed crafty.
Can you do an impression of his voice because I don't know who that character is. I've never played Destiny.
Fallen are crafty. We've stepped into a war with the Cabal.
It's actually pretty good. You should be Hellboy. Look at this.
That's just me after 4 hours sleep.
Yeah. You got 4 hours?
We're all Zavala after that.
Yeah. I slept from 5:30 until 9:30. And then our fire alarm test. You know, we have a fire alarm test in our building every week. It cuts into our meetings.
Woke you up?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
At least it was just a test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and the test worked because I woke up. No, that's something that you do when you review Days Gone.
That's just the reviewers.
Don't make me snort and laugh.
And you can read about that on Eurogamer.net as well. There was some Call of the Mountain gameplay for people who...
Ian, I'm sure will be excited.
Yeah, who want to spend $1,000 playing VR games. And then a Silent Hill-esque horror game called Post Trauma.
I thought that looked quite cool, actually. It has fixed camera angles, so they're clearly going for the old school Silent Hill like horror vibe. So yeah, I think that could do all right.
When's
The
that
lead
releasing?
guy looks a little bit like old Dante from Devil May Cry 5.
He does. Yeah, yeah.
There was a PlayStation first-person puzzle game, an indie called Viewfinder.
I
Anyone
thought
want
it
to
looked
look
quite
at that?
cute.
That
I thought it
looked
looked
good
quite,
as well,
yeah.
actually.
I like the look of that.
I completely missed that.
It's
Wow.
all a matter of perspective, Ed.
Among Us got its long-promised hide-and-seek mode that we've been waiting for a while. It's out today. So
Yeah.
go play that right now.
Did you play Among Us, or did you play Among Us?
I played it a bit.
Hmm.
I can imagine you being really good at it, Tom.
Venting.
Worm
I
tongue
can as well.
himself.
Do you know what? I played a lot more of the Fortnite rip-off mode, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I never played Among Us because I didn't have any friends who played, and I didn't want to just join a
Aw.
random. I know. So who wants to play the hide and seek with me? Is where I'm leading this.
You should
Quickly,
play
everyone
Against.
hide.
Among Us is one of those games that has broken through, well and truly broken through into the mainstream, even if you don't like necessarily see adverts for it on telly or anything. And the reason you know when a game has done that, because you see the little plushy toy things at service stations.
Yeah.
Whenever, if you go to a service station, you need to go to the toilet. They always have a shop along the sort of the corridor that leads to the toilet that you can't miss, and it's always got Among Us crap.
Can I tell you a good story? Which is maybe not a good story, but it amuses me. For some reason, like the kids at my son's school really got into Among Us. But when I say they got into Among Us, they didn't actually play the game, but they obviously got the concept and said they played in the playground. And so someone would select an imposter, and then the rest would have to try and work out who it was. And I had a load of kids around at my house, and I had to entertain them for ages. And I was kind of losing my patience. So I was like, right, everyone close your eyes, and I'll pick an imposter. And I picked no one. And I said, right, go. And it was amazing. It kept them busy for hours.
Wow, that's genius. That is genius.
Yeah, I had like a hot cup of tea. I watched a film. It was great.
How did that resolve?
They got picked up and went home. They never
They
knew.
just- Oh no, that's trauma. That's trauma.
No, that's clever.
Yeah, it is.
That's top tier parenting.
That
was
is,
top
yeah.
tier.
That's up there with telling your kids that when they hear the ice cream van noise, it means they're sold out.
I've never done that.
I do, which I've done. I've always done.
Brutal. Let's hope they never listen to this.
Yeah, for many reasons.
For many reasons. After Us, that looked quite nice. Atmospheric. Out next
I
year.
thought that looked quite nice.
I did, but again, I got very confused because I was writing the Among Us story, and then I looked up and they were talking about After Us, and I was like, I don't understand what's happened.
Would you-
Because,
They announced the sequel
like,
in the same breath as they announced the sequel.
why did they put those two next to each other in the
Yeah.
lineup? I got very I had to do a double take, and I was like, have I missed something? Like, what's happened?
Yeah, it's a
Little-
post-apocalyptic game set, after America crumbles. It's called After US.
Oh.
Excellent. Wasn't there a bit of it that I remember? I can't remember if this was a dream or I hallucinated it. But wasn't there a dead dog in it? There's
There
a
was,
dead dog
and
in the
they
video,
brought the dog's spirit to life.
and its spirit comes out. But there is a legit dead dog corpse in this game. It was in the trailer.
Wow.
Maybe that's where I logged back in, because I had just been writing about how you can pet the pets in Among Us. And then,
And this is what happened to
And
them.
then-
In the sequel. You see the result.
if the
of you
imposter
petting them.
gets you,
The dog was the imposter.
Would you put Among Us and After Us next to each other? Well, they did.
if After Us is so good, it gets loads of sequels. Eventually, you'll get After 8.
Oh my gosh! Please, let's all rally together to make it a thing now, so we can.
We
have
need you
that.
to make 7 more games. Why? It's just this thing.
How long has that joke been whirring around in your head?
Literally, just to no, that's not a thing that I've been sitting on since last night. No, I just thought
I've got this great joke.
Speaking of fun game names, what was it called? I'm not going to remind you.
Redacted.
oh shitting hell.
I know it's not called redacted.
I've got
I
it
want
on
to
the
hear
screen.
what.
Revamp.
What?
Reverted.
We were literally
Replaced.
talking about it 10 minutes ago.
It's reverted, isn't it?
Replaced was a cool looking indie game.
Revamp? That wasn't.
No.
Side-scrolling, pixel art. It's coming to Xbox Game Pass and looks perfect for that. It had kind of like cyberpunky vibes.
It looks really cool. I really like
gonna
the
play
look of
it.
this. Yeah, me too.
One more time, Wes. What's it called?
Redacted. I don't know why the name of this game isn't sticking in my head. I think for me to remember the name of this game, I'll have to forget another game name. It's just I've
Replace it
reached
with something else.
capacity.
So it keeps being replaced in your head.
It keeps
Wes.
being
That's the
replaced.
problem.
Holy shit! Meta. I like that.
Well, how about you forget all about Street Fighter 6 after you talk about it? That was up next.
Well, how long do you have to talk about Street Fighter 6?
I can hear the music playing off stage right now, so
I mean,
Not
that
very
didn't
long.
Stop Christopher Judge. So.
no.
Yeah. I think it looks super cool. We got our first look at some brand new characters, genuine brand new characters as well, which is really great. I'm
PJ.
not PJ
Duncan.
PJ Duncan, yeah. Yeah. And Deck were the 4 characters announced last night for Street Fighter. I think there's a lot of stuff that you can do in this game that isn't just fighting online with the characters that they are with it at launch. And I'm less interested in all that, but they are clearly pushing that because they know that's the way to get people aren't necessarily into Street Fighter or fighting games, playing the game, and then from there they might start learning the game. Maybe they'll dabble online or whatever. So I do understand why they're pushing this stuff. I'm gonna ignore it all and go straight into online, but yeah, I can understand why they're doing it. I think it looks great. June, I was expected to come out. They confirmed the release date, which had leaked, and I was expecting it to come out before June, but however,
June's kind of an odd time. There were a couple of June dates last night. Post financial year, like
I think it's
Hoped
just
right before
development
summer.
times. People need more time. They still need more time.
fair
I
enough.
think June is all right for Street Fighter actually because I wouldn't want it going up against big hitters necessarily.
Big hitters.
Yeah, it'll just get knocked out. So.
And there's the music, right?
I bet you're glad you invited me onto this now.
Hades 2 was a massive announcement last night.
No idea that was going to happen.
Huge
That was
surprise.
cool. It looks good.
Supermassive's first ever sequel. But, Hades was such a smash hit for them. It kind of makes sense, right? Like, people want more of that game. I think there was, when we saw it, it's like, oh, is this DLC? No, they're doing a full-blown follow-up to it. Everyone's pretty pumped.
Yeah,
I can't
it looks
imagine
like
it
great.
being coming out anytime soon, though.
No.
It's coming
Like,
out in
it's all-
2023.
Yeah, but they'll do the early access thing that they did
Oh,
last
they're
year.
doing
they
early
said
access.
it'll be
Well,
early
they're
access.
early access 2023, yeah. So,
Which is
Yeah.
surprising in a way because it's quite similar to the first one, but then I guess it worked well for them, so they want to go
works
through
so
that
well,
process
didn't
again.
it?
yeah.
I think they just want to have the community involved in the same way they did last time.
Hmm.
But yeah, like you say, it's they've sort of hammered it out by this point.
Do you reckon that it was going to be maybe expansion, and they just thought, "Oh, come on, we can." There's an appetite for a full sequel in that, in a way that there hasn't been.
Maybe.
You know, there's not a Bastion 2. There should have been. I'd have played that.
Maybe they didn't even intend to have a sequel, but it's done so well that they thought, you know what, let's do more of that.
It's done so incredibly well. Yeah.
Good for them.
When did Hades actually come out? Last year? Or was it the year
2 years
before?
ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I can't remember. Yeah. It was pre-pandemic, wasn't it?
It was pandemic year, I think.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, good for them. They're a fantastic developer. Really, really great developer. I love them to bits.
Yes. Speaking of games that may not yet be out for some time, Judas was another big surprise. We've been waiting.
Lady Gaga.
Ken Levine. We've been waiting to hear what he's been up to. A bit harsh on Lady Gaga. We've been waiting to hear what Ken Levine's been up to for about 8 years now, since he binned off his old studio because it got too big and decided to go play with narrative Lego in his bedroom with a couple of friends. And we, had no idea, really. It turns out that he's made another BioShock game. This one's set in space, and you can set fire to things using powers, coming out of your hand. And there's, I wrote a quick story on it last night, but to me, as a very big BioShock fan, there's just so much stuff in there that looked familiar. There was sort of weird, twisted Americana stuff. There was creepy robots. There was like electricity crackling over water, and the trailer, after the trailer, Geoff Keighley said that he played a bit, and there is some of that sort of new way of storytelling, narrative Lego stuff that Ken Levine has talked about in the past in there.
That's the bit I don't get
in the trailer, but
is it? Was there?
No, it wasn't in the trailer. That was just something that Geoff Keighley said afterwards. Like, this isn't maybe what you think as a straightforward BioShock game, right. But this is apparently why it's been taking so long, because the thing with BioShock Infinite was it took so long to make. They basically ran out of time and they had to call a stop to it. And Ken Levine came out and said, we can't justify spending all of this time and money on a game that people are probably going to finish in about 15 hours and never touch again. We need to come up with a better way of making games with narrative to add replayability or to extend the experience of playing them somehow. And that's apparently what he's been up to the last few years. We'll see. I guess we'll find out more about it. But it's certainly based around a very BioShock-looking game.
As a BioShock fan, then, are you glad to see that he's kind of sticking to what he knows, or would you rather he was trying something a bit more different?
It's interesting because, I'm putting aside all of the stuff that came out earlier this year about his management style and inability to release a game. I love BioShock, I'm looking forward to more. There is another BioShock coming out from Cloud Chamber, different team. I wonder if we're going to be in a similar situation to Dead Space in sort of 2024, probably 2025, where there's like the OG brand comes back, but also the original creator comes back at the same time with their separate take with a slightly different.
That would be delicious. Just throw in a remake of BioShock in there for good measure.
The hat trick.
I mean, that I would play.
The original game is pretty good on Series X and PS5. They did a money spinning re-release about a year or so back. I would also play a ground up remake too.
It's a great game, but I don't need it in space.
No. But it's interesting they've gone to space because a lot of people thought, well, where can BioShock go next after doing underwater and in the clouds? And the obvious thing was, space, let's do a Dark Side of the Moon base thing for it. And reportedly, that is not what BioShock 4 is doing. There have been reports that is set in the Arctic. So you have that similar sense of solitude, but still very much on Earth. Whereas this looks to be... Well, we haven't really seen anything of BioShock 4, so we can't really compare. But yeah, super keen to find out more about that. Bayonetta was up next. This was another surprise. Ed, were you expecting this?
No, but some people kind of were, it turns out. Because... So this is Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. And it's a...
What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Well, it does
What's
mean something.
Cereza?
Cereza is Bayonetta's real name.
Isn't that Spanish?
I didn't know Bayonetta had a real name.
Yeah. So Bayonetta as a kid, who you play as here, is called Cereza, and then she becomes Bayonetta the Witch. And the Lost Demon she's talking about is the Cheshire Cat.
The what?
There's a Cheshire Cat.
You are rocking Wes's world here right now.
There's a Cheshire Cat. Is this meant to be like
It's a big
an Alice in
demon
Wonderland?
I think there are references to it, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, so it's a prequel. It's got this sort of fairy tale storybook vibe to it, which is really
Alice
not
in
like
Wonderland?
which is really not like Bayonetta at all. Which is all very over the top and pretty sexualized, and this is playing as a young girl in a storybook, so it's very different. However, it turns out that there is a playable teaser for this in Bayonetta 3, which has been there all along. There's an item called an old book that you could unlock with some hidden keys.
Alice
and
references.
there you go.
No.
And it's been playable since the game came out a month ago, but nobody knew what this teaser or what this secret trailer was. And now we know.
Do you have to sort of fall down a rabbit hole to find it?
I think writing about this, you will.
Yeah, I mean, we fell down one trying to find a video of it. But no, you get like an old book that you can buy, but then you have to find keys hidden in different levels
That's
and
just Alice in
unlock
Wonderland,
it all.
Yeah.
It's a little
I
potion
think this is
saying,
super
"Drink
cool.
me."
Yeah. This is really cool. I like that they've done
It's
this.
a fun tease. It's just very, very different to the main game. So
Good, right? The main game's there.
I like the idea of them expanding out Bayonetta as more of a franchise. It's more work for Jennifer Hale.
right name,
Yeah, who voices young... What's the name again?
Cereza.
What kind of name is
guessing
that?
a young girl.
That's one of the few
Cereza.
words that I know in Spanish. You go to the bar, you ask for dos cervezas, por favor.
That's Cerveza, not Cereza.
What is
Well,
this? What is this?
K
cerveza?
Cereza.
What is happening?
We're very tired, everyone.
Maybe that's how they pitched it.
I'm going to skip a couple of games I don't care about and talk about Suicide Squad, which I like. Honestly, I have struggled to find some enthusiasm for this game so far. I love the Arkham titles, but this one just, for whatever reason, hasn't really pushed my buttons. This is Rocksteady's big return after a long time quietly building this, I guess. But last night's trailer showed Batman for the first time and voiced by the very sadly missed late Kevin Conroy, who is he has recorded Batman, and this will be his final appearance in the role. I thought that was a very cool announcement and a nice sort of moment in the show to pay tribute to him. And yeah, generally the first time I've watched the trailer and thought, oh, I actually need to play this game now.
Oh, right. It turned you around then.
Yeah.
I'm still not feeling it.
Oh, see, I've always been more looking forward to this one because I quite like the idea of playing as the baddies. So
It's just why do these people keep making games that make me want to play as Batman? It's just like
Yeah.
there's no one in any of these games, Gotham Knight or this one, that is better to play as Batman. I just don't get it.
I mean,
can
the
be a
thing I like
shark.
about Batman are the villains and the way that they represent sort of different psychological traumas and stuff like that. And I really like that. But what I like about it is what Arkham Asylum did, where you have to understand them and beat them as Batman. I don't want to play as them. I don't want this jokey banter, and I'm not interested at all.
Do you guys remember Calendar Man?
Yes.
It was a good date.
Hey. It's
That
good
was
to have
weak.
you here, Wes.
Moving on, we got a PC release date for Last of Us Part 1, 3rd of March. We got the trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which looks pretty good. The release date had already leaked, 17th of March.
He's older now.
He's got a beard.
He's got a good
He does.
little...
That had leaked, hadn't it? Because
Yeah.
of some figure.
Yeah, well, there
Is
was a
it a toy?
figurine.
Yeah.
Because I wrote about, I wonder if he shaves it with his lightsaber, and I thought it was very funny. And then I read it again, and I was like, maybe that wasn't so funny.
No, that is funny. I like that.
Oh, thank you, Ed.
I mean, that'll wake you up in the morning,
Very,
won't it?
very delicate.
Yeah. That'll be a real pro.
Yeah,
I actually liked the bit in the show last night when the actor came on stage. I thought that was genuinely nice. Like, you know,
It was
wasn't
quite a
too
cool
long,
entrance.
and it was cool.
Yeah.
He clearly is like absolutely loving that he's in Star Wars in some way. And, yeah,
he's got to be angling for a role in Mando season 4 or
Yeah.
whatever.
There'll be a show somewhere where he's desperate to get in. Yeah.
Well, the game is canon, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the time period would match up for him to be in one of the Disney Plus shows. So,
Yeah, he's just waiting for that call.
and his beard looks good.
Speed.
Like me, he needs a bit of a Cereza right now. Next
I like
up
that her
was
childhood name was Teresa, and her outfit is hair.
oh, let's not get into that. Earthblade, next game from the creators of Celeste.
Speaking of razors,
June, no one cares about June. Forspoken. Wes, did you want to say anything about
I
June?
cared about June. Of course, I did. I don't really know what to expect from this game, even after looking at that video. To be honest, I think it'll probably be like Age of Conan Exiles meets June, because the developer made Conan Exiles. So I don't have hugely high hopes or expectations, but I love June as a universe. So I'm interested to see if it's any good. That's where I'm at with it.
Fear is the mind killer. That's June, right?
That is, yeah,
Okay.
June.
I think another game that we're waiting to see if it's going to be any good is Forspoken, which you can now try for yourself and find out and see just how hip-hoppy its character walks around. So that demo is available to play right now. You can go download it on is it PlayStation 5 only.
Yep.
I'm going to give that one a go. I'm still holding out hope that it will be good.
Cool.
I think it will be fine. Just about fine.
Moving on to some of the really big announcements of the night. Death Stranding 2,
Yeah.
or DS2, as they kept on referring to it, which is not a sequel to Nintendo's popular handheld, but another game.
God, that'd be amazing. DS2.
Yeah, Kojima's making
yeah.
Boktai for the DS2.
It's weird that it's officially down as a working title. I don't understand why Death Stranding 2 isn't just the title.
It's just Kojima mind games, and also it's just another PR hit when they announce the proper title.
It's
down
called
the
Death
road.
Stranding 2.
What would you call it?
Death Stranding 2. It's the sequel.
You ready, Victoria?
Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3.
I'm
wait, not
still
Stranding.
Stranding.
Oh god, that didn't work.
You
did
were
it?
meant to come in with me.
The weight, the setup, it was all there.
I had completely forgotten
Okay,
that
should we
that
try
was
again?
sort of thing that we were going to do.
I was
1, 2,
literally
3.
waiting for that.
I was
I'm still stranding. That's what it should be called. I'm still Death Stranding.
I'm still.
You know how,
Two.
like, when we go karaoke, we think we sound amazing. Whenever anyone, like, member of staff pops their head in to give it, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I genuinely have never felt more sober than I have right now.
You're still drunk.
I did have some rum last night. Yeah.
Oh, do you have the
With
coffee
coffee.
one? I've ordered
Yeah.
it. It's arriving
It's your
tonight.
face.
There was a point in the evening where I really had to dial it back because I was like, the rum is doing much more work than the coffee.
As it should.
Yeah, to be fair, as it should.
But we are all still stranding. You know, we're still here right now. So turns out
Yeah.
DS2 was the many news stories that we wrote along the way.
There's an octopus baby. That's
Yeah,
what
did
I
the
remember
baby
from
turn
trailer.
into the octopus?
I assumed so.
Okay, because that's what I took from it.
Or half baby, half octopus.
I think, I mean,
Babipus.
in all seriousness, I think the trailer confused me a bit because that's fragile, but as in Leia Sadu, but I don't know if that is the character. Is this was this a flashback? Is this partly a prequel? Is this the origins of BB?
I thought Norman Reedus looked older.
But he looked older.
But then
yeah.
he comes in older at the end, and the tagline is "Should we have connected?" or something like that.
That suggests a sequel.
Which suggests it's a sequel. So I'm like, well, is this someone else but the same actress, or is this a flashback? Are they just explaining stuff? I mean, it's Kojima; it's all over the place.
As it
of
say,
course
I
is.
think.
So it will make no sense even after the end of DS2, after 40 hours of nonsense.
Tell us how you
I
really
liked
feel,
the
Ed.
big mech thing. I like the big mech sort of thing that turned up at the end. I don't know what it's supposed to be. All big, like, robot mech sorts of things, they all have the same whale sound. I don't know why this is like
Whale
a thing.
sound?
Yeah, they all
What sound is
like,
that?
Like what?
Like it's like there's some sort of they emit in sci-fi and like in any form of sci-fi, they always emit this sort of weird like whale sound as if it makes it feel like really big and like important and epic.
Also, is that a nod to Metal Gear?
Oh, of course, I took it as
Yeah.
I took it as a Metal Gear beta because Ray's not even as big as that. I didn't think it was.
Well, are we a little surprised that he's making Death Stranding 2? I mean, I know it's sold.
No, because Norman Reedus leaked it.
No, well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
In May, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for
He
this
was
most of the year.
casually dropped, just so casually was like, "Yeah, I'll just make another Death Stranding. We'll do another
I
one
think
of those."
Maybe
There were
the
some
surprise is-
questions at some point over how well it had sold.
Well, we did the story recently where they celebrated 10 million porters, and then we compared it to things like A Thief's End, which got to a much higher number quicker or something. I can't remember exactly the figures, but it still didn't seem as much as maybe you might
It's.
assume.
I think it's less a sales thing with this game than it is a like impact type brand game.
Yeah.
And you can see why PlayStation would want it. Yeah, like it's a, it's a brand exercise. I think.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like cyberpunky, Starfield, Call of Duty, FIFA type game.
I think part of the surprise is that they've been teasing all these actors, or Kojima has, and it was kind of unclear, well, is this Death Stranding 2 or is this the other game he's working on? So at least now we know, okay, well, this all links and it was aiming for this.
Yeah.
And he did say on stage that he is doing another thing that's obviously the Microsoft Cloud game that has been announced and a few other bits. I liked what he said on stage about he completely rewrote the story because of the pandemic.
I was going to mention that. Well, yeah.
And that he's trying not to predict terrible things in the future because they just come true.
Well, wait till all your babies turn into octopi.
Oh no.
Then he'll be a sucker.
Oh.
How do you make an octopus laugh?
Tickle.
Give it tentacles.
I knew there was something in there.
You really went out on a limb there.
You didn't have a leg to stand on. See what I did? Yeah. Anyway,
Ed hates all of this every time, every single time.
Immortals of Avium. Sure.
That's not a baby pun.
No. Tekken 8, Wes, you were pretty excited about this.
Yeah, it looks great. I won't bore you with the specifics,
Cool.
but
Appreciate it. Ed
Can
Nightingale.
you imagine Geoff going on stage doing that to Keith Judge last night? Can you imagine?
I mean, I wish he had.
I bet he felt like he wanted to.
That was I'm still unclenching from how awkward that was.
It was pretty awkward.
I actually haven't seen anyone time how long, but I've heard that it was over 10 minutes. It felt like half an hour that he was just going on and on and on. He was recounting the entire development of God of War Ragnarok in front of Al Pacino. At one point, he said that
Pacino.
Al Pacino's just hanging out in the background, being like, "What on earth is this?"
I was worried Al Pacino might have fucking
Just died on his
before
feet.
the end of his speech.
Yeah.
Oh god, and then he would do the eulogy.
Al Pacino-
As I'm here,
I know
I might
this
as well
isn't a
start Al
game.
Pacino's eulogy.
I know this isn't a game, but what Al Pacino is so fucking random to get for the Game Awards to read out anything or say anything.
Well,
It's just like, why?
This is one of my annoyances of the whole evening, is that it was full of actors as opposed to, and some of them have been in games, but a lot of them are just unrelated to gaming. And Al Pacino stands up and goes, "I don't really play games," and I'm like, I appreciate you're Al Pacino, but equally, like, no one would stand up at the Oscars and give out an award and say, "I don't really watch films." Like, why? Why do we get away with that with gaming? Why
Because
do people do
gaming still, and this last night proved it once again, gaming still has an inferiority complex when it comes to Hollywood.
Yeah.
It completely still seeks to legitimize itself by getting these random, like, people, legends from Hollywood, to
Daniel
turn
Craig.
up and are like,
exactly.
why the fuck
Was
was
that an
Daniel
Among Us
Craig
thing?
at the Game Awards? You know, save that for when he's in a game.
Did they not like they've got like a little Among Us suit, or is that just this thing that they did for him for
Yeah.
that?
It
Or
was
is it
a
actually
he
a
doesn't
thing?
teaser
need
in
to
Among
do
Us.
a bit for like.
Last year
There's
we
no
had
need for him
Gal Gadot and Brie Larson. Although Brie Larson is kind of into games, so.
Yeah, Brie Larson's in Fortnite.
But Gal Gadot,
You
Gal
know,
Gadot.
where it would have made sense is Henry Cavill. I can only assume he just wasn't available, because if I'm planning the Game Awards, the first celebrity I want to do to be on that show is Henry Cavill. The crossover is unreal, right? But you know, Al Pacino. What? It was so random, you know. Just really, gaming needs to just like leave all that behind.
Especially when there are actors known for gaming. Like, let's lift those people up. Why not have that award presented by Maggie Robertson, who won it last year as best performance? Like,
Yeah.
bring her back and be like, she's
Exactly.
known. Bring her back to announce this, as opposed to, you know, getting Al Pacino out of his grave.
It was a proper what the fuck though, wasn't it? And he couldn't read the teleprompter.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, put your glasses on, mate.
He couldn't read. It was just so. You know, did he even turn up for rehearsals? I bet he didn't.
I don't.
And I bet he
Play
fucked off
games.
the minute he got off the stage as well.
Was
But
someone
my
in charge
children
of
do.
the teleprompter, like, quick, put the font size up, put the font size up.
It's just like
Yeah,
one
but
word for the screen.
How old are his kids? Because when someone says, you know, I don't play games, but I've watched my kids play games, my kids do, that always makes it sound like they're relatively young, right? But Al Pacino's kids must have kids
Who probably have kids.
who might even have kids. Whose kids is he talking about?
Whose kids have you
Kids
got, Al
collectively.
Pacino? Give them back before they turn into octopi.
I honestly think he'll have woken up this morning
With some kids.
and he'll. Well, you know, he maybe he saw that Bayonetta trailer.
You're going to get cancelled.
You're not my kids. Are you my kids? I'm 50, Dad.
Boy.
Oh boy.
I think we should move on. Ed Nightingale. You saw Nightingale this week, actually.
I did. Great name.
Did the developers comment at all on that similarity?
Oh yeah, I was called out on a call with a lot of other journalists. Just fine.
I love this.
I did also ask if Florence Nightingale is in the game, and it turns out she's not. But there is a
Why is it
link.
called Nightingale?
So the city at the center of the world is the city of Nightingale, and there is a link to her in the lore, but she's not in the game. But it's also a play on the fact it's a gas lamp fantasy, so that's also why it's Nightingale.
It's a bit Mary Poppins.
It is. There's an umbrella that you glide on, like Link in Breath of the Wild.
And Fortnite.
Sure. Yeah, I think they haven't shown off a huge amount of gameplay for this. I think the world is really interesting. It's this sort of Victorian fantasy meets magic. It's got the Fae, these like magical creatures. So there's all these eldritch witches and stuff coming into Victorian steampunky stuff. I think that sounds really interesting. But we just haven't seen a lot of gameplay. It's basically a survival online multiplayer co-op thing. But they haven't shown a huge amount of how it actually plays.
Well, new IP, good.
Yeah.
They've got pedigree, that team, so...
Aaron Flynn used to be BioWare boss.
Yeah.
We got a release month for Baldur's Gate 3, August next year. We got a look at Fire Emblem's expansion pass, which is out in January. Diablo had an interesting night last night. So during the awards, they announced the release date, which is 6th of June. About 2 hours before the awards, the Washington Post came out with a long and detailed article about the game's development and how they wouldn't make the 6th of June release date without crunch. This is a great example of reporting on a game's release date before it's publicly announced for a very good reason, to talk about the development stuff. And I encourage you to go read Washington Post article and all of that. Or, of course, you know, we covered it on Eurogamer too. But yeah, it was a very obviously well-timed piece of journalism to come out and talk about the very long development of that game and all of the troubles there ahead of its launch next year.
I'm really excited for that game, but all this stuff just makes me feel like the developers are going to have a really tough 6 months. And it's hard to be excited for a game where you suspect that they're having a really tough time making it.
Yes. Yes.
Moving on, Sony revealed Horizon Forbidden West
Sonic? What? Where?
DLC.
I was like, how have I not heard about this yet? Went
Sorry,
too
Ed.
fast.
This, I think we were expecting an expansion, but there was something that we weren't expecting, right, Victoria?
Oh, that it's a PS5 exclusive. Yes, that.
I'm so surprised.
I am so surprised with that. And I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about how I don't think The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer will just release PS5 because I think they still support PS4 because that's what the original game released on. But apparently Guerrilla does not feel the same way. So I feel, I don't know.
Why do you think they've done this?
Well, see, I've seen a lot of people commenting on it, and I thought the discourse around it would be really like, why are they neglecting people who bought the PS4? But everyone seems to be really excited about what it will be able to do now it's unshackled.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, can they actually do something decent and exciting with it that's different?
Yeah, but it's still DLC for a cross-gen game.
Yeah, and that sucks.
It's weird to me because they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And if I had PS4 owner and I bought that on PS4, I'd be miffed.
I'd be really miffed. Yeah.
So it's
Sony really
was
wants
like
you to move over to PS5.
Yeah.
But if that was your big
Yeah.
game of the year, because, obviously we're in quite a privileged position that this is what we do for a living, but if you already buy a couple of games and Horizon Forbidden West was one of your big games, which you paid full price for, I'd be really cheesed off if I didn't get the DLC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remind me, is it a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5 on this?
Yes, it is for this. This is
Okay.
one of those games that came out close enough to launch that they said that would be the case. But obviously the expansion will not be free. And I think this is Sony saying, like the other side of Christmas, looking to 2023 now, PS5's been out 2 years. If you are a big fan of PlayStation, and Horizon does have a big PlayStation fan base, like if you want to play this at some point before the inevitable Horizon 3 comes out, a couple more years down the line, now is the time. Upgrade.
But this is DLC.
Yeah.
It's not a new game. I don't sort of get it if it was a PS5 exclusive and it was a new game. Like they, move over if you want to play it because we're doing stuff with the PS5. But this is DLC for a game that came out only this year, so just. I mean, they'll have run the numbers. They'll have made their projections. It will make sense to them in some weird sort of business way. Just from the outside in, it just looks a bit weird.
I mean, it'd be interesting to know how many people bought it on PS4 compared to PS5. And I think a lot of people probably got this as part of that bundle when they bought the console, because it comes as part of the bundle PS5 thing. So maybe a lot of people got it as part of that. And so this is kind of an extra incentive for those people.
Maybe.
What I did quite like, though, with this DLC is the fact that it's like a juxtaposition to Zero Dawn's one, which was Frozen Wilds. This is Burning Shores. I think that's quite nice. That they have obviously gone for like a... Yeah. I like that.
They've gone for tropical. In Hollywood.
In Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah. And the first thing people want to do is find the Hollywood sign, because Geoff Keighley said it was in it.
Well, you see a beast crashing through it in the trailer.
Mm.
Oh, did you? I missed that. Okay.
It was quite a short trailer, so.
It is also in the video image. There's a big Hollywood sign in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah, there is.
I was trying to make him feel better.
Seeing and noticing things is difficult at the moment. And remembering words, too.
Yes, like, what is that game called?
Retracted.
Next up, we had Amazon bringing.
Are we halfway through yet? This is longer than the fucking Game Awards.
If only that were true. Amazon bringing Bandai Namco's MMORPG Blue Protocol to the West. I think this could be a Genshin Impact rival, and interestingly, it's coming to Xbox, which Genshin is not. We got a quick.
That looked great.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool, and it's free to play. They've I saw a bit of it earlier this week, and they've said that the whole story is going to be playable without you having to pay anything. It's just cosmetics, which is sort of how Genshin does it, and Genshin is one of the biggest games in the world. So yeah, this may be one to keep an eye on. It's out next year. Splash Damage is making Transformers reactivate. Really interesting. We also got the news today that Splash Damage has acquired Bulkhead Interactive. We got a brief sort of 1.5-minute clip from the Super Mario Brothers movie, which was fun, I thought.
Still, Mario doesn't say much.
I like that he doesn't say much.
Yeah,
but Mario's never been the main character in a Mario game. He has been the main character, but like if you ask someone who their favorite Mario character is, no one really says Mario.
This is true.
So
who do you play as in Mario Kart? And if you say Mario, then you're wrong. Yeah. Boring.
You're not wrong. You're just boring as fuck.
You're an anomaly.
Yeah, it's Toad. That's the right answer.
Toad is the answer.
Does he wear a hat?
Oh God! I mean, that was
that bit of the Game Awards.
I like that.
I liked it. He was quite good.
Yeah,
Cap.
Absolutely team ahead all the way.
Never put that in a hashtag.
He's put it in his article. I was reading it last night, and I was like, Tom.
Team head.
The one thing that did strike me from that trailer is that actually the music was really good, because previous trailers have been very like action movie soundtrack. and this was actually the Mario theme done well and seemed fitting with the style. So that I was happy with.
Yeah, the music was awesome. Yeah, a nice look at the movie. We got a first glimpse of Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, a project from Don't Nod. I think it's the team that was previously working on Vampire. We're still yet to see what Don't Nod are doing from their Life is Strange team, which is now set up in Montreal. But Banishers is up next from Don't Nod. We got a look at Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Look like Warhammer.
I'm not going to say anything because you're just
cool.
You're just
we got Feature Maker. There was a Crash Bandicoot game. I think that's all we need to say about that.
Yeah,
I didn't really absorb what it was because the guy dressed in the fucking thing, he came down and I was like, okay, this is the Crash Bandicoot bit, so I can sort of catch up on a few things doing the roundup. Is he furry? Is that classed as a furry?
well,
I'm
probably.
Let's not upset anyone.
I don't know what this game is, basically, is what I'm saying. I failed to absorb what this game was.
A very weird thing with Michael Madsen happened.
Oh, God,
I've forgotten
that was
about that
terrible.
until
That
now.
was so bad.
It was so awkward.
Oh, well, Michael Mads, he's barely there. He is barely which is understandable given what he's done to himself over the years. But that was the Game Awards Ozzy Osbourne moment. It was just
I think it was notable that Michael Madsen came out flanked by two people who actually did most of the talking, and
who held him up,
Propped him up.
yeah, they Weekend at Bernie's him, and they talked about crime boss Rockay City, and this game has signed some ridiculous voice talent, including Chuck Norris, to record a few lines.
Is it
Kim
Basinger
Basinger
as well?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, she's in there.
Yeah.
It's a real 80s sort of.
It's kind of like, well, GTA is not going to do a Vice City, so we're going to do a Vice City with all of these Hollywood actors.
This is Payday. This is a Payday game.
No, but it had that look of Vice City to it, that sort of neon California strip.
It's a first-person heist game. It's a first-person heist. It's exactly Payday. It's just Payday with Hollywood actors. And if I was the people making Payday 3, I'd be like, oh my God.
They got some Hollywood actors. They got Giancarlo Esposito in Payday. But speaking of Hollywood actors, Idris Elba is in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
And now cool. I want to play it.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
That was
another
really
game
cool.
whose expansion is new consoles only.
Yeah,
good. I think
probably for the best.
I think that's probably for the best, given what happened with Cyberpunk. I'm really looking forward to that expansion. Not gonna lie, I know Cyberpunk has its problems and the studio has its problems and everything, but I finished Cyberpunk and I want to play this expansion.
I hope that in a smaller, focused expansion, they can actually tell a good story.
How have they said how long the expansion will be? Like how much they're planning to fit in there?
It's a new area of the city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Cyberpunk had fantastic storytelling around the edges. Like it had it in parts, in bits that weren't necessarily the main storyline, and some of the character work is absolutely incredible. So if they can sort of harness that, that'd be good.
I just remember Mr. Blue Eyes from the base game.
Yes.
Sorry, I think someone's at my door. You can probably hear my dog. I'm just going to step away for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
No worries. We got 2 games left. From Software announced Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. That was a big surprise. Although that also had leaked earlier this year as well. But yeah,
I've
that's
never
coming out
played one of
2023.
those games, but people seem to
I've never played an Armored Core game, and I know from Soft as the Soulsborne people. So I'm interested to see how they now return to this, having learned all of that, and how much that's going to influence it. I thought the trailer for this also looked incredible.
Had a good soundtrack to it as well.
Yeah.
It was a really good world building style trailer, the kind of thing that you get with their games, their trailers, right?
Is this the band in Namco? Is this?
The From
Armored
Software,
Core, yeah.
Armored Core 6.
Yeah.
They look cool.
And the very last game of
Best
the night.
one.
Oh.
If
Ed.
you don't cut it off, right? I don't see why I'm not allowed to talk about my shit. And Ed's going to get 10 minutes on this crap.
People care about Final Fantasy.
People care about... I care about the things that I... Go on then.
Ed,
My
tell us all
batteries just
about
fell
it.
over. That's how I am.
Well, firstly, I'd like to publicly apologise to my neighbours for screaming very loudly when this came on at like 3 a.m. I was very excited. It's
More like 4
we've
a.m.
got- Well, yeah, actually, it was closer to 4. We have a release date, which is the 22nd of June next year. We knew it was summer, but now we have a specific date. So that's only a couple of weeks after Street Fighter. And it
Poor
looks
Final Fantasy 16. That's all I got to say.
sure. Yeah, we every time they show more trailers, I think it looks better and better. We've seen more of the combat, which is, as we know, is by people from Devil May Cry. So we got to see loads of, or more of the sort of icon-infused combat, more of the icons against each other. The big new thing is that we saw party members, which we haven't seen before. We knew that there would be AI-controlled party members, but now we've seen 3 of them, which includes the dog, who you can also pet. And
If it dies,
just
does
looks
its ghost
awesome.
just come out of its corpse?
Don't suggest the dog dying.
No.
And yeah, I am very, very, very excited about this.
Really?
If that wasn't clear.
I'm
It's
quite
gonna be
gutted I wasn't a fly
one
on
of next
the
year's biggest
wall
games.
seeing your excitement when it was announced or revealed or when it came on.
I think if you were, you'd have just been like obliterated by the sonic scream that emanated.
I
Like,
might have
any
screamed,
sort
"Get me a towel," very loudly.
Cool.
Long
Well,
time since the games made me say that.
I don't think a game has ever made me say that.
No.
I'm glad that it did what you hoped and then more. Yeah, and it was a good end to the Game Awards.
It wasn't the end, though.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very weird end, obviously, with the stage invader. Felt sorry for Miyazaki, and obviously Geoff Keighley looked pretty flustered, but I just have to question how that kid got on stage and remained on stage for several minutes while that Game of the Year for Elden Ring speech was going on. It's pretty crap security, to put it lightly, and it's a good thing that kid was just some 4chan idiot who wanted to say something rather than a 4chan idiot who wanted to do something else. So
It's
Yeah.
just that. So all the things that we've talked about in this will not be what this show is remembered for. None of the awards will be remembered. What this show will be remembered for is Al Pacino dying and this kid getting up on stage. That's what the Game Awards 2022 was.
Yeah,
Al
that was
Pacino and this kid.
the discourse afterwards on Twitter was like, what on earth just happened and why is Bill Clinton trending? And it reminded me of this year's Oscars where, some very deserved people won, but I couldn't tell you anything about the awards other than someone got up on stage and slapped someone. And it just felt a bit like that. And, I think clearly there will be steps made to make sure this does not happen again, but it's unfortunate.
I would be absolutely gutted if I was Miyazaki. Gutted.
Yeah.
And his team. Because, they win the Game of the Year award, the big finish, up on stage, and then this happens. It's almost a life ruining moment, for them. It's really grim. and I can't imagine what they did with this kid.
Well, reportedly, he's now in the hands of LAPD. It'll be interesting to see what happens next if he is actually charged with
So what
anything.
would they charge him with? Like what? Like I realized what he
Yeah,
did was
I don't
morally
know what
wrong,
crime-
but
what
what
crime was
crime was
committed?
it?
It's America; they can just make something up. I mean, like public nuisance. It's a private venue, so
Yeah, but he wasn't.
they can say
He bought
trespassing. I don't know.
trespassing at an
did he
event
buy
he
a
bought a
ticket?
ticket for. I don't
Causing
think
a
he
public
snuck in.
nuisance. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can. That's. So irrespective of the act and the message that he said, which is obviously abhorrent, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with kid getting arrested for this. I would feel even more uncomfortable with kid being charged for this with anything.
How old is
Because-
kid?
Well, in the eyes of the law, in the state of
California.
where was it? California. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I know it would be, depending on the age, considered a minor or an adult here, but I don't know in that state. But he looked like a kid to me. But yeah, I just like this is, Geoff Keighley, I hope, apologises profusely, talks about how it happened and the steps that will take to make sure it never happens again. And I think that's that. Like, you get a kid and you say, get out of my show, fuck off. Some security person goes, leave. But arrested, the idea of him being charged with something, I don't know, doesn't sit well with me. All right, fix your shit, Geoff, first.
The parent in me did think, where is his mother?
Well, yeah. Maybe he was just a really young-looking adult.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
if it's an adult, I mean, still, like, I don't know if this is a thing that you get a criminal record for. It's a video game show. If he bought a ticket, just.
I mean, I think it's probably a good thing that he was a kid rather than an adult who wanted to get on stage and cause more of a nuisance. But I've seen tweets with people saying, like, where was the security? This was being pointed out all the way through the speech, that there was someone on stage who did not look like he was part of Miyazaki's entourage. And if people on the stream were seeing it, why wasn't security seeing it? You've got some very, it doesn't matter if they're important or not, but you've got like a lot of people in that room. And if someone really did want to cause serious trouble, then it would have been a very bad situation. And it didn't look like they were really equipped to deal with it at all. Like the kid got out a couple of sentences before anyone sort of was like, what? Like, what's going on when that is allowed to happen? So, yeah, and then, Geoff Keighley coming out afterwards and being like, we've arrested him. I mean, I feel like that's them sort of trying to, after the fact say, look, we're taking care of this, but crazy. Well, that was the Game Awards 2022.
We didn't even talk about the awkwardness of having Phil Spencer turn up, like literally an hour after the FTC announced they were suing them over the acquisition. And he was just sort of sitting there, like...
Yeah, I'm no body language expert, but he did not look too relaxed. So,
It's a good job
yeah,
Microsoft
obviously a
didn't
lot
win
of...
anything.
Oh, no,
Well, he gave... her name slips my mind, but is it Caroline Marshall? He's always congratulating her because that game, as Dust Falls, would not exist without Xbox funding. So they sort of
but he didn't say anything. He didn't do a speech. He didn't do an award. Did nothing.
No, but
he has done in the past.
Yeah, where was
where was
Phil? Yeah, sorry, Jim Ryan.
I don't think they can be in the same room together.
Maybe that's where security was. They were keeping Jim Ryan. There'd been a scuffle pre-show. Jim Ryan, Phil Spencer, and they were having to. They were still trying to hold Jim Ryan back.
Meanwhile, Doug Bowser is DMCA in journalism. What an industry!
The only Nintendo representative there.
Yeah.
Yeah. and
What an industry
and
we've
his
got.
and his old colleague Reggie, who's
So Reggie was there.
criticised. Yeah, Reggie was there. Reggie, who criticised Doug Bowser's handling of America, Nintendo of America, because of all of the workplace stuff that apparently wasn't happening under Reggie's own reign. There, he says. Anyway, that was the Game Awards
Then there
2022.
there was that whole joke as well of there's a murderer in the room, and I'm like, well, with all this going on, I'm not surprised.
Oh my gosh, the one from Glass Onion. I forgot about that. That's really awkward.
They were like, well, statistically, and I'm like, well, there could well be.
That was terrible.
Oh no, Oh.
That's when that didn't age well.
Video games. Thanks for joining us. If you were watching with us last night, thanks for being there then. There will be more news next week. You can guarantee that, and we'll be back then to talk about all of that. In the meantime, though, Ed, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at ed_knights.
Victoria?
I am Little Chop Shop Gal.
Wes?
I am at Wick100.
And I'm at Tom Phillips EG. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
See you then.